Making bad decisions, so I'm dancing with myself. On April 10th, 2020, The Strokes released their 6th full-length album, The New Abnormal. And here's what I thought. First off, what a perfect time to release an album called The New Abnormal. I mean, everything is abnormal. I have never had this much hair on my face. Ever. Secondly, it's been 7 years since the last Strokes full-length album, Come Down Machine, which was actually the first Strokes album I listened to in full. I know, I was late to the game. A girl in my first year mentioned that the Strokes were coming out with a new album, and I was trying to act all cool. I was like, oh yeah, totally, I love Reptilla. And then I gave Come Down Machine a listen, and I ended up really liking it. I know that album's kind of hit or miss for fans, but that summer I was super into Daft Punk's Random Access Memories that had Instant Crush with Julian Casablancas from the Strokes. And that song and Come Down Machine kind of had some similar vibes, so I dug it. Needless to say, I went back to listen to their back catalog and totally fell in love with the New York garage rock sound of the 2000s. Almost everything that they released I enjoyed. But now, after 7 years and a bunch of different side projects, Julian and the gang are back. So, how do these new tracks compare? Do the Strokes still hold up? Let's do this, track by track. Go. Track 1, The Adults Are Talking. Right away, straight up, we're hit with that kind of classic Strokes vibe. The guitar riff melody is kind of reminiscent of almost anything off of Come Down Machine. Now, this song was actually first played in 2019, so I mean, who knows how long they've been sitting on the song? Maybe since Come Down Machine? Who knows? Julian's vocals kind of croon and blend pretty nicely with the instrumentals off the top. In the chorus, we hear Julian try to understand the confusion of someone else that he's talking to right now. He's not totally sure why they're making certain decisions, and to him that's confusing. But let's be real, everything nowadays is confusing. What day is it even? It's more of a mellow track in terms of Strokes music as a whole. Not sure if it's the strongest opener, but the chorus is pretty fun, and the song really heightens in the bridge. The bridge has Julian crooning in his falsetto that he's been using a ton of since Angles-ish, and he's really hitting those high notes. I'm sorry if you're wearing headphones. Also, sorry to my neighbors. Track 2, Selfless. The guitar kind of feels like a little spacey off the start, almost more Voids-esque. Another low-key track, I think, again, Julian has really mastered his falsetto. It sounds a little bit more polished than a lot of the stuff on Come Down Machine, on this track in particular. And then he turns up the heat in the second verse and chorus, using his full register to kind of achieve that classic Strokes whine. But it still mixes with the falsetto pretty nice. It's a nice little stir fry of vocal qualities right there. It's a love song. I mean, nothing too deep. The instrumentals are nice, but not really that memorable. But who knows? Ask me again in a week. No, seriously, set a reminder. Ask me again. Google set a reminder to ask me about Selfless in a week. Track 3, Brooklyn Bridge to chorus. That synth off the start. That synth is so 80s. It's pretty electronic, kind of dancey. It's 80s synth pop, especially with that lead synth line. It's oh, it's so hot. But yeah, it feels like the song really picks up the album. Back to the 80s things, I mean, I don't know whether it's just lyrically that he references it, but he even references the 80s a few times in the song. English much? Lyrically though, oh, the good old days. Jules, can I call you Jules? Is looking back and referencing some of the early days of the band, I'm kind of guessing. With their initial success, especially with the then younger crowd. The chorus talks about wanting new friends, but they don't want, Julian. It's Julian doesn't get the new kids, and he thinks that the new kids don't get him. At the end, he even calls out Juliet, his ex-wife. Unless he's talking about the Shakespeare character. Wherefore art thou? It's been a while since I've read Shakespeare. For a song with such melancholy lyrics, it's quite a happy tune melodically. The guitar hero. I want to play Guitar Hero now. The guitar solo here has classic Strokes tone. It's great. Definitely a standout track. Track 4, Bad Decisions. Dancing with myself, oh. Yes, the song sounds like Dancing with Myself by Billy Idol, especially in the melody of the chorus. But for the record, they give Billy Idol writing credits on this track. So, fair game? It's fun, it's dancey, it's familiar with Julian's, whiny Strokes whine. Now, Genius told me that this song is kind of like talking about Julian's father and him making bad decisions, like anything between like, telling his then girlfriend who was pregnant with Julian that he's not going to change diapers, or the fact that he, had an affair with an underage girl. True or not, I just looked right into the light. True or not, melodically, the song is still fun, and if I heard this song playing at a bar, if we're ever allowed to leave the house again, I'd probably tear it up on the dance floor. Or die trying. Track 5, Eternal Summer. Track brings down the tempo a bit and explores a little bit more of the kind of 80s sound. It's very different than like anything we've heard on this album so far. I mean, Julian's falsettos off the start took me totally off guard. I had to like double check that I was still listening to a Strokes song. Also, the yelling, singing of the chorus was pretty jarring on my first listen. The post-chorus has a bass that's kind of really digging into the groove. It kind of reminds me of The Wall by Pink Floyd. The song is pretty experimental. It's pretty strange. It's really like all over the place, but still trying to contain itself into one song. Easily could have been something off of the last Voyage record. It's the longest track on the album, and I wish it wasn't. Yeah, my favorite part of the song probably has to be that really lo-fi outro at the end, TBH. Track 6, At the Door. Now, this was the first song I actually heard from this album. It's very synth heavy, and it has almost like a sneaky kind of melody to the vocals. But yeah, the song is beautifully written. It's probably the closest thing we get to a ballad from Julian on this album. It brings like a new focus back to the album, especially after the kind of messy Eternal Summer. I like it. The bridge is dope with those throbbing synths, and that outro after the instrumental break
really takes you on a journey, dude.
But imagine this tune with some throwback fast-paced strokes guitar underneath. Just a thought. Might be dope. Track 7. Why are Sundays so depressing? I think the answer is Mondays. That guitar off the top, you know it's a Strokes song. This song really grooves, especially in the pre-choruses.
I'm transitioning. I'm making your body way.
I'll leave the singing to Julian, okay? Okay. It took me a few listens to really appreciate this track, and I think it's gonna be a big sleeper hit for a lot of fans out there. Those weird wow sounds in the chorus are fine. I love the tremolo effect on guitar at the outro. It's a good track. Track 8, not the same anymore. The guitar off the top really reminded me of Jesus Christ by Brand New, especially on my first listen. The song is a little sadder, slower, but yeah. It really doesn't do much for me. Julian's crooning is great, but it just feels like the song is lagging. Lyrically, it's kind of interesting. Julian is kind of struggling with changing who he is. I like the outro. It's kind of calming in the state of, abnormal. Track 9, Ode to the Mets. I like this one. Melody is nice, catchy. Julian has always been very cryptic with his lyrics, but I feel like in this track, he's kind of like reaching out to the audience, talking about this album in particular, just kind of saying it is what it is. Especially with lines like, I hope that you find it, I hope that it's good. I love the drums please Fab as the drums come in. The song slowly builds with, the drums and some guitar riffs and the vocal harmonies. It's a really nice outro track. In the last verse on this whole album, Julian is really reflective. He's coming to terms that the old Strokes are gone. Rick Rubik's Rubin isn't gonna come in and fix what the Strokes are missing, With whatever this new abnormal is, the only thing left is, them. The Strokes. Whatever they are today. And that's it. I mean, pretty decent album. It wasn't as radically different as Come Down Machine was on first listen. It has a lot of elements that make the Strokes sound so identifiable. A lot of conflicting lyrics. I think they're really trying to understand what this new normal is after spending so many years apart doing side projects. I'm talking about the members of the band. Was that clear? There's a lot to unpack here, so again, maybe ask me in a week. But in this moment, I really enjoyed the album. Tracks like Brooklyn Bridge to Chorus, Ode to the Mets, and At the Door really make this a unique and memorable addition to the Strokes catalog. Yeah, I'd give this album 7 out of 10 normals. Whatever that means. But yeah, what do you think? Do you think the new Strokes are the best, or do they leave you depressed? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're down in that section, toss a like, subscribe. I mean, it's Easter after all. Whatever. Yep. So like, subscribe, and stay inside. Seriously, FaceTime your family if you have to, do what you need to. I feel like we all want to and enjoy a summer outside. Even if it is at a social distance, we got this. But yeah, I love ya. And until next time, peace.